Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. You guys, shit is going down. Clinton Kane has come out with a response video on the 13-part series that Brooke Schofield made about him around 2 weeks ago. I have several videos on the topic, so I won't even bother updating you on everything that's gone down so far, but please watch these videos in order and then come back to this one. But just for a really quick recap, Clinton Kane is a singer who's been lying to the entire world and people in his private life about who he is, and get this, the fact that his entire family is dead. He dated Brooke Schofield for a few months 2 years ago and even lied to her about everything. Brooke recently came out with this 13-part TikTok series exposing Clinton, which blew up on the internet. And I never thought Clinton would respond because, like, how does one come back from that? But alas, he did. And not only did he respond with his own 28-part TikTok series, but he also tripled down on his side of the story. So let's get into it. First of all, he names his series Who Did I Marry, Not Date, as a way, in my opinion, to undermine the severity of his relationship with Brooke. He first addresses the length of their relationship and doubles down on the fact that their relationship was only 3 months and not 6 to 8 months like Brooke had said. He shows like a plethora of texts to, quote, prove the relationship ended after 3 months.
Did not get back together after we broke up. We did see each other multiple times and still texted. This was a month after we broke up, October 21st, 2022, clearly stating that we were still broken up. This was the next month on 8th November, still showing that we did not get back together. And then this was the 24th of November, still showing that we did not get back together. And then this was on January, still showing that we did not get back together. And then February, again showing that we did not get back together.
Well, isn't it fucking obvious that you were in like this situationship phase for a few months after your breakup and Brooke just counted that into the total length of your relationship? Like, this proves nothing. He then addresses when Brooke said that they would never separate throughout their relationship. This guy went over every single text and photo that they had together and made a whole calendar on the amount of time that they spent together.
Here is the first month from when we had our first date. I've labeled it B for every time we saw each other. Yellow is for when we saw each other either during the day or just at night. And red is for when we spent the night together. So from our first date to when we broke up, it was a total of 125 days. Out of 125 days, we spent 64 days together, which is essentially half.
I mean, while I respect the hustle, this still doesn't prove much and basically just means that we have to take your word for what occurred on these days. He then says that Brooke said that they lived together on multiple occasions, but they never did.
We did not live together, and you can see that plainly from the Google Calendar and the amount of days that we were together. But here is more proof of her stating that it's her apartment, another one of her saying it's her apartment, and another one of her stating that she's moving into a new apartment.
Again, I think this is just one of those things where they never officially obviously moved in together, and that's not what Brooke said. They would be staying at Brooke's place for a while or Airbnbs together, so much that it was as if they were living together. He moves on to when Brooke said that there was an instance where he started, quote, hysterically sobbing when she said that Kid Rock was hot, as a joke.
Here's proof of her saying, I would fuck the shit out of Kid Rock. And here's more proof of her saying, I would fuck the shit out of Kid Rock and not Kid Rock was hot. Okay, so we're sitting there. I'm a bit uncomfortable, but I don't bring it up at dinner because we're with my friends and I just wanted to have fun.
Okay, this one I'm more inclined to believe. Obviously, Brooke doesn't have perfect memory, and she's also prone to exaggerating stories, just like Tana. That's what makes an amazing podcaster. So I'll give him this one, but it's just such a minor detail. And speaking of minor details, he also made an entire separate part of the TikTok series to debunk the fact that they spent hours talking at a diner at like 2 a.m. when they first met.
I took a video of her at 2:55, so we were there around 2:20, 2:30 a.m. This is my Uber ride receipt, 13th of May. It's going to scroll down, 3:08 a.m. That is the address of Mel's Diner, taking me back to where I live. So if we do the math, it's not 4 hours. We were there for an hour.
Like, okay, and ooh, she must be such a liar. She got the math wrong. He also says that they wouldn't go on extravagant vacations like Brooke had said. They just went on, quote, 3 little trips throughout their relationship: Joshua Tree, Laguna Beach, and San Diego.
So I'm at the One Hotel, one of the most beautiful hotels in all of Los Angeles. Okay, it's like several $1,000s a night for like the
No, it wasn't a couple $1,000s a night, a very nice embellishment to make it seem extravagant. It was $600 a night.
I mean, $600 a night is still pretty expensive to be staying somewhere for a long period of time, but maybe that's just me. He also debunked the fact that he paid for 7 people at Nobu one night and it was actually just 4. Like, once again, irrelevant details, who cares? He addresses the fact that Brooke said he wouldn't let her leave by showing a bunch of photos and texts of them being apart throughout their 3-month relationship. He then talks about the story of him having gotten pulled over. Brooke says this happened going to Joshua Tree, and he debunks this, saying that it was actually on the way back. Like, ooh, you got her good there. He also says Brooke just completely lied about everything that went down. He says that he never gave the cop a fake ID, he just didn't give any ID because giving a fake ID would be illegal. However, he's missing the fact that Brooke is also saying that it was a lie that he gave the cop a fake ID because it was his actual ID that had a 1999 birthday on it. He does also admit that he lied about his age though, so we'll get into this a little bit more later into the video. He then responds to Brooke having said on multiple occasions that she cared about his mental health and that's why she didn't expose him for all his lies immediately after their breakup.
Her only concern was threatening and manipulating me a month after our relationship in October. This was completely premeditated, and I will show you proof right now. This is the first text. This is the second text. I'm going to show you the note now. This is the list that she made and sent to me, things I could do to Clinton that wouldn't be half as bad as what he did to me on October 31st, 2022, a month after we broke up. And you can see that she's completed a lot of the stuff on the list, even though she keeps on saying she's concerned for my mental health. Also, keep in mind that in the last 2 years, she's been on 30 different podcasts and more talking about the same shit. This is another text that shows it. This was also in October. And then another text stating the same thing. And then a tweet on January 18, 2023. I don't think she was very much concerned with my mental health.
I don't think this is saying much, to be honest. I literally remember her having stayed quiet for a long period of time, like a decent amount of time after the breakup, and even wanted Zach Sang to remove the clips of Tana talking about the Clinton Kane situation on his podcast. So although now she doesn't give a fuck and has been talking about it freely for a while, it doesn't mean that she was immediately talking about it after the breakup. She did indeed stay silent. Then he debunks the fact that he doesn't have any long-term friends and says that Brooke has met several of his friends that he's had for over a year and one that he's been friends with for like 6 years. And fine, I'll believe this one as well. He responds to Brooke having said that Clinton said "I love you" 3 days after they met.
No, this did not happen. We met on May 13th. This conversation was on the 11th of June. This was the first time she jokingly said "I love you" a whole month after we met. More texts to prove that. And then on the 15th of June, a whole month after we met, we said "love you." And then on top of that, she said "I love you" first.
Again, one of those things that we'll have to take your word for, Clinton, because who knows what you said on that third date, you know? Like, it literally could have been something that he said in an unserious manner and that she just ran with. We don't know. He moves on to Brooke saying that Cancelled gets more listeners in a week than he does in a year.
She has stated that they get more listeners in a week than I get in a year, but I'm going to give them a month instead of a week. For the month of April 2024, they had 8.4 million listeners. And in 1 year, for just one of my songs, only on Spotify, I had 84 million. And on top of that, this was last year on Spotify alone, where I only released 4 songs.
He addresses the fact that Brooke said that she would never date him now that she's treated all her underlying mental health conditions. He says that Brooke did know that she had BPD from a young age.
But you did know.
I first got diagnosed with BPD, I was literally like, I'm like, that is not true.
What year was it? Do you remember when you found out?
I think I was like 17 or 18.
Oh, you were young.
What are you diagnosed with?
I have borderline personality and then just depression.
But once again, this isn't debunking shit. Brooke has said multiple times that she didn't get the diagnosis that she got at 18 seriously, and she wasn't treated for it. So just because she knew she had BPD doesn't mean anything. He also says that he didn't even know that she had BPD throughout their 3-month relationship, so he couldn't weaponize it like she claimed. Then he addresses the languages that he speaks.
He must also speak another language that he never told me about. So how scary is that? So how scary is that? So how scary is that?
How scary is it for someone to be bilingual? I don't understand why this would be scary. And second, we dated for 3 months.
I mean, to be fair, 3 months is pretty long enough to know what languages you speak. And then he debunks the allegation that he demanded Brooke post her on social media.
This text shows that the fact she had to ask me to be posted shows that I didn't demand to be posted. Here's another text that shows that I genuinely did not care. And here she also clearly states that I didn't demand, I encouraged her to post vlogs, etc. I didn't encourage her to post me or about me. We were going to a lot of fun places and I encouraged her to post for her. And then here's another text to prove more that I did not demand to be posted.
And then he makes a whole TikTok on this dumb shit.
He had told me that his ex, who I Guess I'm in Love is about, by the way, one of the most beautiful songs ever. People use it as their wedding song. It's like, I mean, it's his biggest song.
It feels like more of a SoundCloud thing.
No, he was like, you've probably heard, like, he had one, like, really huge song, and, like, that was, like, the whole thing, but about his dead mom, whatever.
The song that she's talking about, that's my biggest song, is called I Guess I'm in Love. First, she says my biggest song is about a girl I was in love with. And then second, she says my biggest song is about my mom. If you're gonna lie, try to keep it straight.
Like, what is this, Clinton? Who told you that if you have more parts in your TikTok series that you win the battle or something? Then he says that he never actually gave consent to Brooke to record their fights like she alleges.
I never knew you were doing this. You never showed me the next day, like you said in this video. And you know, this is fucking illegal in the state of California. And this is fucking disgusting. And the fact that you feel the need to secretly record someone in a 3-month relationship is concerning.
Moving on, he goes through all of his songs to prove that only 3 of them were about his family and not all of them, like Brooke had claimed. Like, okay, she's hyperbolic. We've been knowing this. Good for you. He then posts this to prove her inconsistencies.
So first you say that he was dead 5 months ago. And then 4 months ago, you said that he was alive. And then 2 months ago, you again said he was alive. But then a week ago, he's suddenly dead again. It sounds like you just say whatever you want to say and whatever is convenient. And for the record, he is dead.
Sure, okay, she's been inconsistent on this detail. So what? Like, what does this prove? That she's ditzy? He moves on to the part where Brooke told a story of a time where she went out to dinner with Tana and he threatened to drink and drive.
I was having a lot of anxiety and panic that day, and I told her that. It was the 13th of July. She wasn't at dinner yet. They were getting ready for dinner. Then she called me back in front of all of her friends, and I was a bit uncomfortable by that because I was in the middle of a panic attack and I didn't want anyone to know. There were no novels of me drinking a 5th of vodka and trying to drive. All I said was that I was going to pick up alcohol and then drink it at home. As you can see, the date, July 13, 8:18 p.m. I had sent her a picture of the alcohol I picked up, and I was in an Uber, not driving. As you can see here, 13th of July, 2022. The time was 8:07 p.m. The same time I was in the Uber. The ironic thing is, I was in Vegas, she was in LA at the time, so there was no manipulation of her needing to come save me.
Okay, yeah, obviously I'll believe this detail as well. He then says that he never admitted that his mom was alive to her despite what she claims, and then he moves on to an entirely separate section of the video that he calls accountability, where he takes accountability for everything that he did, including cheating on Brooke.
And what tends to happen is, as soon as I want out of a relationship, for reasons like, you know, it's unhealthy or it's like a sudden realization that it won't work, I never know how to come to terms with that emotion, and I go the pussy way and give them a reason to break up with me instead of, you know, just manning up and doing it myself.
He blames that on not having a good, healthy model for a relationship, and he also admits to having love-bombed not only Brooke, but every single person that he's ever been in a relationship with. And then he also admits to having lied about his age because he was just embarrassed and wanted to be with Brooke.
She was older, and she had said something about not dating anyone way younger. And I lied and I said I was 2 or 3 years older than I was.
He then admits to being a baby man-child throughout the relationship.
In my past relationships, I've always been an insecure person. And I'm not going to dive into that emotion because I already do in therapy. And for the most part, I was insecure about meaningless and useless things. And thinking back about it, I cringe. And I wish I never brought those things up.
Then he talks about what we have all been thinking, which is, where is this man from? Obviously, he has been telling everybody that he's Australian, he has an Australian accent, and he grew up in Australia and had this huge house in Australia. But in this TikTok, he admits that he's actually from the Philippines, Australia, Manchester, UK, Brunei, Singapore, Cyprus, and all these other places.
Before the age of 1, I moved to Australia, where I had family. While I was there, according to Google, I had learned an average of 1,500 words with the regional dialect of Perth. Then I moved to the UK, where I learned more words with the regional dialect of Manchester.
And when he first got signed to a record label, they had told him to just say one place, and Australia was the place that he resonated with the most, so that's where he went with. Obviously, there's an inconsistency here as well, because, then why did you make all those lies about having this huge house in Australia? What? And then he talks about his family. He says that his dad did indeed pass away. He never had a really good relationship with him, so he never really mourned his loss in that way, and that's something that he's trying to work on right now. But regarding his mother, he never really had a good relationship with her either. She was a pastor growing up, but the mother that he talks about that passed away is somebody that he met while he was traveling in Europe. She had multiple kids his age as well, and she just really got him, and they got really close really quick. And one day he receives the news that she got into a car accident and passed away. So that is the mother figure that he's talking about. And listen, he does this, he lies in such a convincing manner. I almost believed him there. But again, there are so many holes in this story, because on the Zach Sang show, he said that the funeral was in Australia. And now he's saying he met this lady somewhere in Europe. And also, where did the brother go? He never even mentioned his dead brother. It's also unclear which mother all of his songs are about, because if it's the pastor mother who he had an abusive relationship with or a terrible relationship with, whatever, then that's an entirely separate story than this mother figure. And it's all very confusing, because he's contradicted himself multiple times on the Zach Sang show. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. I must say, there's a reason why he disabled comments on all of his TikToks, because people be calling him out. This is unreal that he's come out with this. I am dying to know what your opinions are on this. Please make sure to comment that down below. And I'm hoping Brooke will come out with a response. I'm dying to hear that as well. So stay tuned for an update video. This story has not ended. All right. Bye-bye.